Yeah. Oh, I know.
So,
All
you know.
right, we're live. Hi, Marissa.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me tonight.
For sure, for sure. So, first things first, how are you doing during, I mean, everybody doesn't know that you and I know each other and that we FaceTime and stuff, but um, I always like to start with like how you're doing in this kind of crazy time that we've never lived through before. How are you doing? What are you doing? You've got two little kids.
It's just what can you do? We're in a new world now. I mean, I think we're all trying to make the best of it. We're just hanging in there. I think it's a good time to reflect on what we need to change about our lives, what we need to enjoy about our lives, things that we need to learn from, to grow. So I think for me, it's just been really about, taking this time to grow in my career, in my role as a mom, and things that I need to do around the house. I mean, it's endless, but that can mean different things for everybody. So I think at the moment, everyone's just doing the best they can.
Yeah. You're already getting comments. She's so pretty. Oh my God, you're so gorgeous.
Oh my God, thank you.
See, you knew you came on this thing for a reason. It'll make you feel
I
good.
mean, thanks, guys. I really needed this ego boost right now, so I appreciate it.
I love it. So let's talk about what you, because you mentioned obviously we'll get into a little bit of your background, but I just want to touch on this because you just said it. Like what this kind of new normal looks like for you right now in this era of you working from home, you're still working, you're still booking girls. Like, what does that look like right now?
Well, of course, obviously, for those who don't know, booking jobs as a model are usually in person. They are on a set with, a crew of people. It could be on a location, it could be in a studio, but typically, a model is being booked to arrive at a location where there's a photographer, hair and makeup, a stylist. There could be a creative director. There could be, other fringe people that are there to just assist with the day to day. So, as you can imagine, all of that human interaction has been drastically cut down.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the moment, while we are in this interim period, things have kind of shifted a little. Clients are now asking for models to shoot only with a photographer in a studio out of their house in a garage setup where they have a proper team with, people that have been quarantined together, people that know that they're negative or, have just really not traveled anywhere. And they know that they've been safe. So it's become a very small production in a limited capacity, but that doesn't mean that it's totally gone away or gone extinct. Clients need to shoot, they need to get product out, people are home, they're shopping, even though right now it feels different with the economy, people still want to spend money and life
Mm-hmm.
has to go on. So we've been just finding creative ways to go about, sourcing the right people to be in a small, intimate setting while social distancing is always the key.
Yeah. So, and I thought because you just mentioned it, so I was like, let's touch on that. We'll get into that more, but so let's start at the beginning. I mean, how did you start? I mean, I know that you were recently at another company for a long, long time, but how did you get your start as being in the modeling, agenting, management world?
Well, it's so funny because a lot of what we are talking about now, and with your company, the day to day, I was an acting student way back when, and
I
a
never even
lot.
knew that about you.
What do you mean? I'm so dramatic. How do you not know this? Can't you see my natural talent? Um, no, so a lot of movies that you watch when you're little, they resonate with you, and you kind of take things from them or people that move you. So one of the movies that I always loved when I was growing up was Gia,
Oh,
featuring a young Angelina Jolie.
yeah.
And it was a story about a model that was very troubled. She had, many things going on in her personal life, but she was this like gorgeous young woman that was catapulted to success in the modeling industry. She was groundbreaking for many reasons, and she was signed to a super mega agency. And I always felt that that would be such a dream life to be a part of. And it was always
Hmm.
something that I wanted to pursue in some way, shape, or form. I knew I wasn't going to model, but I knew the business side of it was something that really appealed to me. So when I was in college, I attended Hofstra University on Long Island. That's where I'm from. And I had gone into marketing and advertising, and I wanted to go interview at an advertising agency. I thought I would like to be an ad executive, which was really huge at that time. So I went to a recruiter. She prepped me for some interviews. She said, "You're going to go to these, Saatchi and Saatchi, which was a huge ad agency at the time." She said, "You're going to meet with this person. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions, and this is what you're going to answer in your interview." And I said, "Wow, I don't like that answer. Why am I going to do that?" She's like, "Well, that's what you have to say to get the job." And I said, "Well, but being in advertising and being creative and free is not what somebody tells you. You should feel that. You should want to think your own way." And I didn't really like that. So of course I didn't get the job on any of these interviews that I went on, needless to say. So down and out one day after an interview, I went to my friend's bar in Hell's Kitchen, and I sat, and had lunch at the bar. And I was telling the bartender, he said, "Oh, why are you so sad?" I said, "Well, I'm not getting these jobs, at these big ad agencies." And he said, "Well, I'm a model, and, I have an agency. Why don't you go meet with my agent and maybe you could get a job there?" And I said, "Cool." So the next day I got a call from this big international agency. They said, "Come on in, let's have a meeting." And I dressed up in a three-piece Brooks Brothers suit that my dad, helped me pick out. I was 20 years old. I looked really sharp. And I got the job. I went in and I just nailed it. I practiced all my questions and it was great, and that was the start of a 15-year stay at that
Do,
company.
do you want to say or no who it is? It doesn't matter.
I mean, it's Wilhelmina Models. It's an international agency, and I had a great career there. I was a director by the time I left, and it was a really amazing run. And I made a lot of great contacts. I built my whole client roster there. I was also director of an agency for editorial men and women models. At that time, it was called Adam.
Mm,
And I've always had a part in scouting and directing models to grow their career. So that's been something really fun.
nice. So now, what is it that you? Oh, I have to say, actually, when you said Gia, I used to represent Eric Michael Cole, who played her boyfriend when she
Oh, that's
was
so
in
funny.
To the Boys. And he was the guy that worked in the pizza shop in Philly or whatever. Yeah, I represented him for years.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
but what is it that you look for? Like if someone's to say, I mean, I don't know, blindly submit to you or send in some photos, or what would stand out to you without them having some sort of referral or whatever?
I think the most important thing is originality. I think that, people have to realize that this is not about looking like the next girl or the next guy. We already have people that look like that. We are trying to offer something to our clients or the public, whether it's advertising that wants breakdancers, casting directors, they'll send agents a breakdown in an email of what they want, and
Mhm.
that's what you're going to go cast for. So when your agent is looking for all the right people to send to the client for a casting, not everybody is going to be the same. It's going to be either someone, that fills a role of this certain type or look, or somebody that has different skills or has acting skills or singing or some creative skills like graffiti. Well, I mean, in a on canvas in a controlled environment, not on the
Yeah.
wall. But or skateboarders, things like this. So tuba players, who knows? You never know what you're going to get from your casting director clients. So when we are looking to take on new talent, it's something that is original that we don't have, that we're looking for. It's not just a pretty face anymore. And another thing is also pretty much social media related, because not so much that clients want the followers. It used to be that clients want a million followers. Now it's not really like that. your engagement and what people
Hmm.
react to what you're saying and how you present yourself and the likes that you get and the comments you get and all these things that are really pushing your social media forward to be a connection. You know,
Hmm.
why are you going to sell 1,000 of these bracelets just because you have a link connected to it? I mean, these are the things that clients look for. So you don't have to just be pretty or handsome
Right.
or a good looking person. You know, these are all things of how you wear it, how you have confidence. All these things have changed. So it could be anything really nowadays that we look for, but we want you to be yourself.
Yeah. And does the industry change a lot as far as like when you said it doesn't have to be, the pretty or this or that or whatever? Is there like ebbs and flows of like they want all fitness people? They want all like, is there parts of the like, have you seen in your career where it's like you see like all this is all they want, and then this is all they want, and then this is all they want, or is it just all over the map?
Um, that's a good question. I think that it does change over the years. I mean, over my 18-year career, which is so funny because I'm only 25 when I say that in my head.
Sure, you're
So
live.
funny. So, I think that at different agencies also, like we do look for different things and that's what kind of you have certain clients that will come to you for certain things. At Muse, where I am currently as an agent, we are a super strong editorial agency. We have a ton of top talent. We have girls that walk every major fashion show and every fashion week. We have models of all different sizes. We have a size 12. A female model, Jill, that is a dress size 12, that she has walked the runways for Chanel, for Alexander McQueen, for a ton of high-end designers. It's been groundbreaking. So I think that it depends where, what agency you're at and what they kind of specialize in, but the industry does change. It wants what's new, what's hot, what's on the cutting edge. And that's not always going to stay the same because people's tastes change. The consumer's tastes will
Is that
change.
Yeah, so is that dictated by the consumer and the designer? Like the designer knows what the consumer is gravitating towards. So then the designer does it. So then that trickles down to you because the designer says, "Well, this is what I'm looking for at this moment." So that's kind of is that kind of the flow of
I
it?
mean, I think it could be that way. I think that a lot of the designs are too far-fetched for like the high-end market. I think that a lot of it is like ripped off or copied or, made
Mm,
for the general public. Like if there's something really amazing, like these clear sandals that are like the clear straps and the clear heel, and everybody wants it, and it started at one mega designer, but nobody can afford to pay $2,000 in real life for an everyday item. So then it'll trickle down. And then what happens
yeah,
is, that trickle down will go to, an influencer, and they will start to market that through their images, and stores will send them product and pay them to advertise it. And that's where the general public starts to really come in and be like, oh, click that link, I want these. And it's an interesting way that we are dealing with our advertising now.
yeah. Well, let's go back to the time now, COVID, and all this stuff that's happening, and you touched on it a little bit, but like, what does that look from a standpoint of an agent saying, calling your girls and being like, I need you to get to this casting, or I need you to get down here, or whatever. Now, how has that changed? Obviously, because I know we spoke the other day, and you were like, yeah, I'm still booking girls. They're going either they're home or they're doing a very small shoot, like you mentioned in the beginning of this. What does that look like in the day of COVID, if you will?
I think it's really just what the client has available. If the client is still able to get samples, they want to shoot it. I think what's happening is that we're just taking, um, we're looking at future dates. I don't think, it feels like a temporary pause. It doesn't feel like anything
Mm,
that's monumental, at least to me, because I do still have clients that are actively shooting. So I think that it's just, we're going to have to see how this goes. It's hard to say, but in a typical day, you have clients that reach out. They want to know who's available, who's in town, who would be, free on Tuesday of next week to have, 30 samples shot in a day. And then a lot of my days, contacting the photographer, making sure that they feel good that their studio is ready, and can they have a day with us next week to shoot out of their home studio, and just setting that up, and
Yeah.
coordinating those details as usual, because that's what, it's just business as usual for us.
Yeah. What is somebody that's brand new? What do you suggest that they do? They get a test shoot. They get. I mean, what is somebody that's brand new? And people have said to them, now look, I know people tell people all the time, like, oh, you should model or whatever, and then the reality of it is maybe they shouldn't. But you know, but what is something like if there truly is a girl that's 5'9" and she's thin and she's got angular features or whatever, and there's something there. What is the very first step that they could do?
Well, I think that age plays a big role. I think that you have to understand that there is a division between a child model or a teen model and then an adult model. And the
Mm-hmm.
mentality of modeling is, something that is to be said about maturity. You have to be able to handle, first of all, rejection, because it's not an easy thing to swallow. If you go to a lot of castings, a lot of the time, you may or may not get the job. So I think first and foremost, you have to understand where you fit in. So that could a lot of the time be by age. So if you're younger than a certain age, a lot of modeling agencies will not take you because, they have to wait a long time for you to legally be able to do certain things or travel alone, or, things that are just typical. It's just
Mm-hmm.
easier as you get older and are more mature to handle the things that come with modeling, right? But
Yeah.
other than that, what I would suggest is just, you know, mail in some pictures online. You can send pictures of yourself, very straightforward, nothing like, a lot of
Yeah.
makeup. No, very simple makeup to no makeup on a blank wall. If you visit a lot of the modeling agencies' websites, it'll tell you specifically on there what they're looking for in a scouting section so that you can submit pictures via that site and what they are requiring. If they have height requirements, if they have age requirements, things like that. I think that's the best place to start. Um, and really look at the agency. Does it look like an agency
Mm-hmm.
that you want to fit in with? Do the people kind of feel good to you? Does the vibe feel good to you? Like, not everything is going to be for you. Like if it feels comfortable, it feels good, you get a good vibe, you go to their Instagram, you see they have a strong presence, they have a lot of great models, a lot of great work on there. Um, I would say, that would feel good.
Yeah.
I would not sign up with an agency that requires any monetary payment from you off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
for you to like be part of it. Modeling is not the same. Acting is a skill. It's something that you need to learn, and you have coaches that are there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Modeling, you can also have that, but it should also come natural. It should be something you want to do. Do you like taking pictures? Are you good in front of the camera? These are things you have to feel it, to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that, and I swear I never knew that you really I mean, when you were younger, you wanted to be an actor, but don't you think that the two kind of play a little bit of a role, especially like you had mentioned the word confidence. Like if you're in front of a camera, even though you're not saying anything, you still have to be exuding certain things. Don't you feel as though like is there something that models can take? Should they take an improv class or should they take some sort of something to help them ease up in front of the camera? And do you feel that they go hand in hand?
I think it's funny you say that. I think that it's really important. I think that you have to play a role also when you're modeling. You have to feel emotions. You have to understand your part, because if you're with a group of people on a set and you're all, it's Abercrombie and Fitch and you guys are like skateboarding through the beach park and you're, having a great time. I mean, that is also directed. You have a person there directing you. Like, okay, you guys are all going to link arms and run down the beach, and that is not all natural, like especially in front of a camera, in front of 20 people in a crew. That's hard to do when everyone's looking at you. So I agree with you. I think it's very important that you do practice some acting skills. We
Mm-hmm.
often, mention or suggest improv classes. I think that's a great start. I think any
Mm-hmm.
on camera classes that you could take for modeling skills are going to be beneficial. Um, you know, and then you just get people that are just amazing off the bat. I
Mhm.
was very heavily scouting on Instagram over the years, and one of my favorite and most amazing finds and special to me is Barbie Ferrara. I found her on Instagram. She was 16 years old. She was an amazing beauty. She, you know, went with development on our end to book huge campaigns, huge fashion campaigns. She shot with Cass Bird, a very acclaimed photographer. And then she went on to cast for Euphoria. So, you
Wow.
know, she had just an amazing talent as a girl. She had a confidence that was unmatched, you know, and she
Yeah.
just brought that every day. She had a rawness. She didn't care what people thought of her, but she did it in, you know, an elegant way and sometimes an edgy way. And it worked for her. So bringing a lot of that into your other day to day for modeling or, you know, that originality is important.
Yeah. Could you see some of that come through on her Instagram? Like, because you had already mentioned obviously being like engaging and all that kind of stuff, but could you see that she was out there and didn't give a F and did it like, you know what I mean? Just kind of, could you see that exuding on her Instagram? Is that something that, I don't know, got your attention?
Totally. I mean, you know, she just had this spirit. You know, she had this spirit, and you could just tell that she didn't have to try so hard. That was just her. You know, it was like the moody, edgy 90s vibe, you know, the young, like angry teenager, like, you know, that wants to be an adult or wants to like move out of their house and, you know, go out with friends, but you're still too young, you know, because
Yeah.
you can't, you know, but it was just this rawness and this originality to her that was so special. So I totally encourage everyone to work on their Instagram. You don't have to be somebody you're not, and you should do it in an age appropriate manner. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's something I would recommend for sure.
To talk about that, actually, one of the questions, Tara, her daughter is a part of it, Mackenzie, and she's beautiful. She's 13, she's tall, but she did say how old or young are your models. By the way, they're beautiful. She said, but I guess she looked on your website. But they, you know, I mean, can you talk about that? Like, because you had mentioned of legal age, but I know that there was some years ago, and I don't know how it is now, but they could do it younger ages and get contracts and things like that. But what is the typical age? And this is specific to your agency because there's other commercial print agencies that will rep kids and things. But what is it specific to Muse age?
So we do not have a we don't have a young adult division. We don't have a kids division, but you know, typically if we find somebody that's really spectacular, that blows us away, or that fits certain measurements that we know clients are going to love, um, you know, the thing is that when we sign somebody really young, a lot of the times we have to wait for school to be over during the
Yeah.
summers, and then we have to wait till mom and dad can get enough time to take off their work to travel with them to New York because we are such, you know, a top agency in New York that you know we need people on site. You know, you need to
Hmm.
come and spend time because the demand once we get somebody going is very great. So you will be running to castings, you will be seeing casting directors, you will be having jobs. Or test shoots, photo shoots. So a lot of that is just the availability, and sometimes with a younger age it's not as possible. So typically around 15 or 16 years old is when we would consider probably signing someone, um, and those contracts, you know, are typically industry wide about 2 to 3 years.
Mm.
So in that time we're doing development, we are, you know, grooming them, teaching them how to model, really preparing them for what's ahead.
Yeah. What I mean, there's another question. Natasha, her daughter Kiana, is very beautiful. She said, "How do you get started with a company while being a shorter height?" And she's I don't know, I would say 5'4" maybe ish, but tiny, 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 beautiful black girl. What I mean, is there advice? Because I know you said all shapes and sizes, but I know that there's a sample size too that also works for runway and things like that. Is there a place for somebody that's either not the right height or something like that?
Yes, I think there are agencies for many different types of people. I think it's just about contacting those agencies and understanding what they are looking for. There's no set criteria at most places for, what we need. I mean, yes, like you touched on, sample sizes are typically a size 2 or 4 for what we call
And
straight
5'8".
size.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of e-commerce now, they want somebody who is pretty much average America, which
Hmm.
is in sections, really based on sample size. You have what they consider average America, which is like a size 2'4", 5'8". And then we have, around size 10, like size 8'10". And then we have around a 14'16". And then we have around an 18'20". These are all, regular people, regular women,
Hmm.
men are typically in fashion a certain um, waist and a certain chest size, jacket size, and a certain height, because this is how the samples are made. They're not going to make samples to shoot in every single size until they run
Right.
that product. They're going to make 1,000 pieces of jeans in different sizes, but the one product that they had that came in to shoot to show people what they have is in a certain size. So
Yeah.
most of the time, this is what we look for to give our clients what they need to fit those samples. However, there's petite divisions. There are commercial agencies that have flexibility in people that they sign for different projects. So I think you just have to call, do your due
Yeah.
diligence, reach out, make connections, and
And
then
she's still young too. She's still young. She's about to be a junior, I think, next year. So yeah, I mean, but and then there's another one here we got. Any advice how to stand out for modeling online submissions? I guess similar to what we already said, but like if somebody's to submit online to you, any advice on what stands out?
um not being I mean, being over the top stands out, but you don't want to be over the top in a bad way. You want to be over the
Yeah.
top in a good way. So, wearing Aunt Joni's, kimono from, and like
Her
blue
moo.
eyeshadow is not going
Yeah.
to stand out. It'll stand out in a bad way. But I think really straightforward is the best way. When you are sending pictures to an agency, first and foremost, put your name in the email. Put your name, your height, your statistics, your name, your height, your bust measurement, your waist measurement in inches, your hip measurement, your shoe size, because some people it's very important to have a certain shoe
Hmm.
size. Um, where you live. Where do you live? I don't know. If you're just sending me pictures, I don't really know. Is it feasible for you to get here to New York if you live in Hawaii? That's really not going to be so easy. So major importance first, your information, your phone number, your email address, your Instagram. This has to be up top. And then you have your pictures, headshot, waist up, full length, something from the side, you know, something from the back, turn around, basic jeans, a tank top, nothing with crazy prints on it. And that's really it. That's what we look at.
Basic.
Basic.
Simple is better. Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. I think that's a takeaway because we do that in theatrical world too. It's like don't go over the top, you know. I mean, they go in at blank canvas, especially like Disney, Nickelodeon, and we've had them on here and everything. And it's like they look. There's hair and makeup and wardrobe departments. They want to see you like a blank slate. So it's good to hear you say the same thing. But it's also I remember back in the day Polaroids. So you'd go into the agency and they'd take Polaroids, and that's because that was at your sort of most natural state almost.
We take digitals a lot. I mean, Polaroids, I miss them terribly because they weren't so sharp. It was, everything was dreamy and magical and kind of
Yeah.
ethereal. So everybody looked good in
Yeah.
Polaroids, right? But now, this is a major marketing tool for us is using digitals. We have an amazing studio set up at Muse. We have girls in there all day, guys in there all day on the hour. We do a full set of digitals. We have it really looking like top notch, perfect. And this is what we send to clients to show people how you really look because your photoshopped images from the neighborhood, photographer are, not what's going to sell you. We really
They're
need to
not
know what you
realistic. Yeah.
no. And if you have freckles, if you have certain skin conditions that, are make you different. If it's two different color eyes, we might love that. You never know if
Well,
it's something really interesting.
what's that girl's name? That one America's Next Top Model with the vitiligo.
Who's
You
that?
you know she she has like vitiligo, which is
Well,
like
that's
this.
like Winnie Harlow.
Yes, that's her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's mega. She's in every campaign, So you
Yeah,
never know. Don't
but I
don't
think she probably embraced that. I think what you're saying, like the freckles and things like that, don't get rid of that, guys. Just embrace it. It's you, you know?
You never know. I just think that, you have to accept who you are, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge part of it. You have to accept who you are, because if you can't accept that, you're not going to be comfortable, being that person in front of the camera for anybody.
Yeah. Ileana Conley, her daughter Anna Mia, she's great actually. She said, "My daughter is pursuing acting, also a singer. Would it be too much to pursue modeling as well? You think they all go hand in hand, or is it possible to do all of them?"
I mean, how much time do you have? That's aggressive, Mom. Like, kudos to you. I'm in awe. I think it's a lot of time to take. I think that the more you kind of throw in all these things, it's like, if you want to play soccer and baseball and cheerleading and, like figure out what you really like to do, and then go for that first, because I think that you need to build certain foundations for any of these skills. This is a skill just like anything else. And, you have a certain confidence and pizzazz to start with, but you do have to build on that. So if you're devoting all your energies in different places, I feel that it's not as successful. Like, pick one or
Yeah,
two
what's that?
things first.
A jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. Yeah.
I just get good at one thing first, and then really decide if you like it. And then if not, if it's the right time and place, I've had girls that have come in, for example, that are really, into acting. They have a reel, they have, some great footage under their belt. They're charismatic, they're approachable. But then what has happened sometimes is that, that girl comes in and she's beautiful, and we're like, wow, this girl's perfect. She's an actress, and she's, really sellable. But then that acting starts to take over, because those set times are long, and then, they have to wait around, and then like one day turns into 4 days, which is great for her. But for us, it takes a lot of that time away. And,
Yeah.
it's not really desirable to have that happen. So, you want to just go with what you're good at for the moment, and then decide if it's the right time to transition into something else.
You mentioned it's a skill, and I have to say, so my nephew, I don't know if you ever saw pictures of my nephews. They're gorgeous, but they don't want to do anything, like everybody tells them, and they're like, my sister's always like, Uncle Joe obviously can help you. So the youngest one, he's about to turn 14 in June. He said, he's like, "Cool, I think I want to do modeling." And this is what he said to me. And I said, "Why do you want to do that all of a sudden, Aiden?" He said, "Because you don't really have to do anything." I said, "No, that is just biggest misnomer." So explain that a little bit, that where people do kind of think that, oh, I'm just a pretty face, so I'll just show up. No, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
I mean, the hardest thing is, like, it depends what you're doing. I guess it depends what you're doing. Like, if, a lot of like e-commerce, which is a huge part of our business nowadays, it's anything you want to buy online. If you go
Mm-hmm.
onto the Gap, if you go onto ASOS, if you go onto, whatever, Abercrombie and Fitch, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to see people on there standing there in the product, and they're doing their poses. But what people don't understand is that those poses are like 100 poses a day. Like, you have to
And it was
change
like a
it up,
10-hour day.
and
Yeah.
it's like a crazy long day. So number one, you have to have the stamina to go through an entire day. So you have to like really have the mental capacity and strength and physical strength. And then you have to be creative. You have to know your moves. And when at Muse, when you sign with us, we teach you everything you have to know, because we need
Mm-hmm.
you to go on set and be prepared. So all those poses in front of the camera, it's practice, practice, practice. And my peers and my colleagues, we're the best of the best. So we've been in this business for just as long as I have. We know our stuff inside and out. When you come in, you're getting that attention and you're getting that training, because I'm not going to send you into the field without you going and doing a good job. So, all of these things are learned skills. If you just have
Mm-hmm.
like even if you have a beauty campaign and you have like this lipstick and you're modeling lipstick, you still have to know how to move your face. You still have to know your
Yeah.
angles. So these
Angles,
things are
poses. Yeah.
all how to smile through your eyes, how to connect with the camera. These things are really important. So it's not just standing there and looking pretty, or handsome. You really have to practice your skills.
Yeah. Rosemary says, is there any standard weight requirements? Now, you mentioned it earlier about the sample sizes and like standard sizes, baby being like size 2, but you also mentioned then like 12 and 18 and these kinds of sizes. And I know that it's not that it's a new thing, but it's not the thing that was happening 20 years ago, let's say, per se. But it is something that it's a very big market nowadays. Talk a little bit about that, how you don't have to be a stick thin model anymore. There are, like you mentioned it a little bit earlier, there's all different shapes and sizes.
Totally. So there's all different shapes and sizes. I think that one of the calls to action in the fashion industry has been change. I think it's come a little late, but it's better late than never. It's been building up over the years, and we are really at the peak of what we call all inclusive. Typically a woman that is larger than a dress size 6'8" would be considered a curve model or a curvy model. We don't really like to use the term plus size anymore
Mm,
because we feel that it's not inclusive of just regular women with not regular, I mean smaller women that are busty or smaller women that are more pear-shaped. We have to be inclusive. There is not just a cookie cutter of people. We come in all different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes. So there has to be something for everybody. So I think now, one of the things I'm really proud about in my agency at Muse is that we really represent all different kinds of women. There's no weight requirement. You could be the same weight in 4 different body types. It could be someone with more muscle that weighs just
mhm.
as much as someone who doesn't have as much. So, we like to just assess the person, see how their personality is, if they fit personality wise with us, if we vibe, if they're really business minded, if they're focused on working. And then all those other things kind of come after that. A certain weight is not really it. If you fit a certain sample size that we know clients are shooting, that's great for you, if we're
Yeah,
interested. But it can go, I mean, we represent women all the way up to a size 20. So for
yeah.
us, dress size 20, we really pride ourselves on being all inclusive.
That's amazing. Um, I'm also doing the same thing in cheerleading, but it's also the amount of money it costs. So I'm starting to quit things that I don't like as much. It's good. Good statement. Deborah Harvey says, what at the end of the day brings a smile to your face when you meet a new young adult auditioning for you? It's a sweet question. What at the end of the day brings a smile to your face when a girl or guy comes in and you meet with them, and they're fresh faced and then I've never done anything before, but what brings a sort of the tingle?
Well, after all these years, I think if you're doing something for this long, as you know, Joe, you feel the same way. It's the passion for what you do and the experience that you have cultivated and you have seen results and you know that your hard work is generating those results for people. For me, if I'm meeting with a young person that has never been into an agency before, I find that really being nice to them
Mm,
is one of the first things that they don't expect because a lot of the times, unfortunately, sometimes you can go into an agency and people are like, no, I'm not interested. Thanks for coming. See you later. And take a couple
yeah.
pictures and leave just because there is a lot of ego and there is a lot of that. But I find for me that, being friendly and being personable and telling them about what they need to know to be successful and, really helping them understand what this business is. It's not all glamorous. There is hard work, but just sitting down and getting to know them and teaching them about what this is really
Hmm.
kind of what makes me want to keep going. To see people that are still enthusiastic about doing this. After a while, you kind of get in your mundane routine, but when you
Yeah.
meet people that are genuinely excited and you meet the parents and you see that they're have no idea what's going on. And you're like, let me tell you how this works.
Yeah. Let me
It's a
help
good
you.
feeling, as a parent also for me, it's a good feeling like to share that information and have them be empowered also,
Yeah.
um, is
And I always
rewarding.
say kindness costs you nothing. So there's no reason why I mean, we have it on our end too, even in the theatrical world and everything. It's like, you have buyers and sellers just like you do, Marissa. It's like, and there's egos, and it's like, but you don't have to be that way. We're not curing cancer. We're all trying to do a job. We're trying to make, art or whatever it may be. And kindness costs you nothing. So that's a great sentiment when somebody, that's what makes what brightens your day is being kind and friendly to them. I love that.
Thanks.
So let's say, like, I want to ask you a few more questions and then we're almost done. But is there something that early on, like, and I didn't say this to you earlier, but is there something that early on, like maybe somebody had told you in your career that stuck with you? Is there a piece of advice that you remember? Is there something that were like either good or bad, or you were like, you know what, I'm not going to do it that way, or oh God, I'll always keep that with me?
Um, that's a really good question. I mean, I had a mentor that I worked for when I first started. She was tough, man, but she was fair and she was like, tell it like it is, but also with a sweetness,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, you could do better. It wasn't like passive aggressive, but it's like, this is really good, but you could do better, you know?
Yeah.
And it
Let's
was
try
like,
again.
wow, all right, I guess I'm just not doing this right, or I just need to work harder at this, But I think that really being hands-on with talent. I have models that I have known for 15 years, and they're still some of my closest friends because at the time that I started, they were the same age as me, or they were like a
Mhm.
year older, and I was their manager and I was learning, but I was like crushing it. I was, booking the September fashion issue of Vogue for the first size 12 model that was ever in there. Or, like things that were really major. The first African American model that booked a CoverGirl campaign was mine, for Queen Latifah's line. It was amazing, and these things were really great. Um, so I think it's just being really hands on and being direct and helping that person, truly helping them, but telling them like, hey, you're not doing this right, or I know you can do better, or don't beat yourself up. This is what we're
Mhm.
going to do. We're going to get through this. You may have had a slow month. You may be at the height of your career. You could be traveling every week. I know you're exhausted. I know you've been on, 5 different planes this week, traveling and going right to set, getting off a plane. I know you could do it. Like, just hang in there, read a book of poetry. I don't know, Zen, meditate, but like really be there for them. And that's what I've learned in this business through some of the most important people that have helped guide me and mold me as an agent is just, you know, you're all in with this. You're all in with your talent because these people represent you and these people make you proud. And when they're doing well, I'm doing well and I'm happy,
Mhm.
for them. And I'm giving them a career and I'm making them a living. I'm having girls that are, 20 years old buying an apartment in Manhattan from the work that like I helped them do and I grew them to do, and we've worked
Wow.
together, and that's like an amazing feeling. So being hands-on, being direct, these are all really important things, but just be there, show up every day, do what you got to do and do it together, and do it with kindness and genuine respect for each other.
Now, last few questions. What is it that really upsets you when models do, or your pet peeves? Is it being late? Is it not answering your emails? Is it not? I mean, things like that. And then, what is it that like you almost touched on it just now? What is it that really you find the synergy the best is when you do this?
Being late is the worst thing you can do in show business. Okay. Like, I understand the, fashionably late, but like when you want a job, you will show up to that job no later and no earlier than 15 minutes before your call time. So like if your call time is 1 o'clock, you are waiting outside to go in at 12:45
Mm-hmm.
because this is respectful of what the casting director has going on, what the agent has going on, whoever you're going to meet. They've allotted that time slot for you, and it is your job to be punctual. if not early. So I'd always prefer early.
Hmm.
Um, this is super important. Secondly, communication. You know, if we're working every day for you to get you jobs, you have a really active manager, they are pushing, pushing, pushing for you. Um, communication is really key. If I have to reach out via email and I don't get a response, then I have to call and nobody picks up. And then I have to text, which I don't like because, let's keep it real. You have to be on your email. Um, so if those things are not working, that's really upsetting to me, as my colleagues and everybody else, as you can imagine. So
Yeah.
be punctual, be on top of your email, be on top of your call times and the information that you need to be successful because we are providing that for you. So that would be it for me.
Yeah. It's totally great. I mean, it's so funny. I tell everybody the 15-minute thing. I also would say no more than 15 minutes too, because when I was at Universal, I had a very small lobby and I shared it with, there were other people in there and I was casting. And it's like, if you've got actors in there waiting an hour early and they're preparing and all this kind of crap. And it's sort of intrusive. So it's like, it's a good rule of thumb, just 15 minutes early, but don't be obnoxious about it.
For sure. I mean, just show up, check in, if there's a sign in sheet, sign in, and then go wait somewhere else and then come back, just be in earshot of if they're talking to you or call you in early. But, the biggest thing is like, if you're late, say you're late, tell
Hmm.
somebody, reach out, I'm running late, I'm so sorry. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. Rewarding to me is thank you and I'm sorry's. Right? Like,
Yep.
thank you so much for things that are just meaningful to you. If you really are happy about a casting, you've worked hard, you got the casting. Thank you. That's really awesome. I'm so excited. That
Yeah.
enough is payback to me for, everything that I've been working on to get you in the door. So, thank you or take responsibility. If something is your fault,
Hmm.
acknowledge that it's your fault and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I totally take responsibility for that. I missed that email. I was in the gym. I didn't hear my phone. I will get back to you as soon as possible on that.
Yeah.
And that's it. And just take ownership. That's the
Communication and
most of,
transparency for sure. Yeah, it
yep.
makes sense. Well, you have been amazing, my dear friend Marissa. I just want to end on, any last minute words of advice for just any model that might be listening out there, guy, girl, young, we don't use the word plus size, but curvy, whatever. It doesn't all shapes and sizes. Do you have any last minute kind of words of wisdom, words of advice?
I just think that you can't be so concerned what everybody else is doing. If, half these people's lives on Instagram or social media are not that glamorous, but the point
Right.
is that they are making it that way and they're doing a good job of marketing. So just remember that, not everybody's life is better than yours. They have their own struggles, they have their own things that they're dealing with, and they are people too, and they feel hurt and they feel happy and they feel sad. So, all the hate that they have to burden through social media posts, a lot of these things are just not something you should concern yourself with. I think
Hmm.
focusing on your own life, um, the modeling world is sometimes very hard. It's not always glamorous, but it is very rewarding. It is very lucrative. It is something that can take
Hmm.
you places that you've never dreamed of in your life. But it also doesn't mean that it's for everybody. And you may not even want to devote that time to doing all that. If you have a passion to be a doctor or you want to be, a basketball player, like pursue those dreams too. Don't just give up
Hmm.
everything for this. But if it's meant for you, you will have the right team behind you of people that will push you. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, I love you and adore you, but I want to leave you with this little note that's just very sweet. Everybody's saying thank you, but Sierra Lowry said, "You're so pretty and take this time to spend with your family and realize how amazing you are. Thank you so
Aw,
much for all this amazing advice and spending time with us." That was very
aw,
good, Sierra
you're
Lowry.
so welcome. Thank you very
We'll
much,
end
guys.
there. Mwah. Thank you so much, my dear friend Marissa. All right.